Yep, we're back. We're still here. We survived all the COVID lies and all the COVID minutia this weekend. It's
Down with Team
me.
Joe.
It's that brother right there, the living legend, Larry. And y'all know what we doing today. Power and Lovecraft Country. My brother Larry. How you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Just got done. Just finished eating dinner and full belly and all that. I will say, man, I'm just about done with humanity outside. I just keep going out and seeing people not wearing masks or they have their mask pulled down to their nose. I'm just like, people, we're at nearly 200,000 dead. Nearly 200,000 people dead. This is not a game. Put your mask up.
Man, well, the
I know it
problem
sounds like
is
a broken down record, but damn, people, come on. This shit is not a game.
the problem is we're seeing that the numbers of COVID is dropping in some places, and some people look at that as just straight good news. And we're not out of this yet. We're not out of it.
I just, man,
You know, so
I
but
just don't understand. I mean, it's like, well, okay. I mean, Trump just had some of those big on indoor rally and another outdoor rally. And from everything we've seen, that when they have these rallies, we end up with a bunch of cases following. I don't and don't get me wrong, I don't like all these Trump supporters. I don't like all the racism, all the vitriol, all the bigotry, all the sexism. I don't like any of that stuff these people carry with them. But I don't want to see them get sick and die. I mean, they may feel that way about me. They may not care about me, but I'm not going to lose my humanity because of who they are and what they are. I don't want to see them get sick and die. I wish they would just protect themselves. Put on a mask. Keep a mask on. You wear your MAGA hat. Wear your MAGA shirt. Heck, buy a MAGA face mask. Just wear it and protect yourself.
My mama said, if you don't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing. And I will definitely save what I have to say for Wednesday when we get political after we do a little bit of reviewing. So let me shout out everybody that's in the building. Cash Money, Buzz, Futuristic Mike. The Future is with Mike. Check out his YouTube channel. And Pay Our Weight will not be joining us tonight just simply because her schedule is heavy. I mean, her schedule is so heavy, it would make you think that Donald Trump has been a good president. And we know that ain't the truth. But that chick's schedule is heavy. She sends her regards. She want to let you guys know she loves you, and she'll be back with us when she gets a chance. So what we are going to do, what we're going to do.
She's got a full-time gig, and she YouTube's full-time. She's up there doing live streams, doing reviews, doing reaction videos. She's putting in work. So
she's putting in that work, ladies and gentlemen. So go check her out. And on Wednesday, we will be taking your calls for 30 minutes on Power, and I will bring back Larry asking you the final crazy question before you get off. And y'all know this man is known for asking crazy stuff. The number is right there. That number that you're seeing is a number you will be able to use to call in on Wednesday. Let's dive on into it, Larry. So before we break down segments of the show, tell me how you felt about last night's show, what you liked, what you didn't like.
Which one are we going first? Are we doing Lovecraft or Power?
We'll do Power first.
Oh, here we go. I got some notes on Power.
Damn.
let me go ahead and let me pull up my iPad. I got some notes on Power.
Ladies and gentlemen, when have you ever heard the living legend Larry say he take notes on Power? Me and him been doing this for about a year now, and my man this is year number 2, and he done struck out the notes. I can't wait to hear this.
So I was thinking about what you said last week about the professor. I forgot her name. Professor, what's her name? Professor Hottie McBody.
Professor Carrie Megram, and I told y'all she was a sex addict.
Yeah. So I had that in mind, and as I was watching, I thought, okay, when they did that scene where Zeke went in to go see her, and then they did that scene where Reek went to go see her, and when you watched it, the way that they did the two reactions were the exact opposite. Zeke was up there trying to get at her. She was giving him no time of day, trying to ignore all of his advances and just trying to keep everything 100. And then when Reek went to go see her, she was doing the exact same thing Zeke was doing. She was all trying to be personal with him. She was being all soft, doing what she would do from the female perspective, trying to get with him. And Reek was having none of it. He was trying to keep it professional and just trying to go about his business. So, it was really interesting the way they wrote those scenes and what they were planning on people doing with those. So, yeah.
So why don't we just start right there with Professor Megram? So I'll summarize it, ladies and gentlemen. Tasha's still on the quest to get out of prison, but she's also trying to make connections while she's in prison. Keep that in the back of your mind.
Inside.
Yep. Reek's still trying to come up with this money to get his mom out of jail, but at the same time doing reconnaissance on the Tejada family. Hanging around, using dumbass Zeke to get into the family dinner, him showing that he had some street cred a little more than what Kane had, which bothered me, to be honest with you. Then we get on down the line. Professor Megram, it's revealed that her husband, ex-husband rather, wrote a tell-all book about her. I got to dive into that. That's going to be a big point on this episode today, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Then we find out Frank really and truly was a rat. They took care of the rat. And when you have a rat infestation, what do you do to the rats? You put them in a trap and you off with their head. That's what they done to him.
To be honest with you, I was surprised on that bit.
Why were you surprised?
Well, because the dude that played Uncle Frank is like a known quantity. He's not like some random actor. He's sort of a known quantity. So I was really surprised that they offed him and got rid of him that quick. That was really a bit role for him. When I saw him walk into the room, I thought, oh, he's going to be around for a minute because this is a dude that's been out there. But they brought him in and took him out like he was a nobody.
Yep, off with his head. Then we got Cooper Sachs versus Davis McLean. And that part of the story is heating up too. They brought in D.A. Sullivan, who I do like, by the way, and I think she's going to be a recurring role in the show. But when McLean outsmarted Sachs finally showed that he had some moxie and outsmarted McLean by going and getting the one person who knows Sachs was at that shooting and Tasha was there. Went and got Sergeant Rodriguez, who is going to be having a recurring role on the show. Larry, they took us everywhere. And then the icing on the cake of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Ghost being buried. They didn't open the casket, which a lot of people are screaming.
Nobody in there.
A lot of people are screaming that means there's nobody in there. But there is a group of people that are saying, okay, Raina died. They didn't open her casket. Angela died.
I cared about that.
Angela died, and we cared about her. Her casket was closed. Officer Milk Dud, he died. We never seen his body, but we know he died. Terry Silver. Well, they did show his body, so we can't even count him. They eventually
Ghost took that dude all the way out. There was no coming back for him. But the difference is with Raina, we saw Raina die. When we saw her get blasted and then they went out there, we actually saw her die in that moment. With Angela, we saw Angela die in that moment. She died in the arms of Ghost. So we saw that happen. But when we saw Ghost get shot, he got shot and he was bleeding and he was telling people to leave. We didn't really see him go out. We didn't really see him die.
No. And here's another connection people are highlighting. Could it be a lot of people are wondering, why did you bring the uncle back in? Colonel Taylor from A Different World, y'all. Shout out to my man. I love that guy. Why did you bring Uncle Gabe back into the situation? So conspiracy running around that. Could Ghost be
obvious, don't you think? He's going to be the one that I think he's going to be one that's ultimately going to end up guiding Tariq in his world on being on the streets. I think he's going to guide him in such a way that he can run the game, but be smarter than his dad.
Uncle
And
Gabe, you think Uncle
I
Gabe is going?
I think he's going to guide Tariq into
No.
in this hustle, but it's
Mm-mm.
going to be different because see, if you looked at Tariq when Tariq was and I don't know if I'm jumping ahead on you, but when Tariq was at that frat party with his boy, and
Yep.
then that and his friend's older brother punched that security guard in the face, and they were going to arrest him, and the
Mm-hmm.
dude rolled up and said, "Oh, I'm so and so Weston or Wester or whatever." And they were like, the lady was like, oh, sorry. You mean, he was like, you mean like, she said, yeah, like on the whatever building and on the pool. And she was like, hold on. And he was apologizing, saying, my brother's so and so. So I think at that point, Tariq realized, oh shit, these white dudes can punch cops and not even get arrested by just dropping their last name. I can use this kid. I can do whatever I want with this kid because he's never going to get in trouble. And I can basically shield myself and my whole operation behind him. And I
Yeah.
because when he talked to his mom at the end, and she said, and his uncle was saying the only two things you do, the only two ways you can end up doing drugs is either in jail or dead. And he was saying, I think I found another way. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the other way that he found was his boy.
Well, I agree on the party and how the white guys show white privilege at its finest. Thank you very much, Power. And how Tariq is going to show black privilege utilizing his dumb ass to do his bidding. I agree that that's going to happen with Reek. I agree Reek is going to do that. But on Uncle Gabe, I don't agree that Uncle Gabe going to teach him nothing with the street because Uncle Gabe really is under the impression that Ghost was doing legit businesses. That's what he's under the impression of. And I think
You
he's
think
going
so?
to be, yeah, I think he's going to be kind of the conscience that Reek goes to when all else breaks down in Reek's life and he needs to talk to someone like a pastor or someone of that nature. I think that's the role Uncle Gabe is going to feel if Uncle Gabe isn't keeping Ghost somewhere safe. That's what I think is going to happen with Uncle Gabe.
I could see that because of the way that Uncle Gabe had already come out about when he went and spoke to him, the way that he spoke to Tariq, he didn't speak to him as somebody who had an agenda. He spoke to him
Mm-hmm.
as you're a son of this man, and this is something that you get to do just once. And if you don't do it right, you
Yep.
will look back on this and you will regret it. So you need to choose how you're going to do this and do it right for you. And he was the only one that sort of came at Tariq about doing this in a way that is right for him, and at still the same time honors his father. You know, honor your father, but also do something that's right for you. So I think I think where everybody else had their agenda, I think his uncle came at him legit style, which is what an uncle should do. You should come and speak that truth and help him make the right decisions, you know. And I think it was good because he didn't tell Tariq what to do necessarily. He let Tariq decide for himself and figure it out for himself in that moment, which not only helps someone do the right thing, but it gives them that confidence. Because once you make that right decision, you feel like, oh, I just made I made a beautiful decision in a terrible moment, and I am okay. I can do this again. You
Mm-hmm.
know.
And that's why I think
So
Uncle Gabe is going to be more of a conscience relief valve for Tariq, if anything.
right,
But while we're on the funeral, they had so many of past people show up at this funeral. Cooper
right.
Sachs was there. Steve from the DNC was there. Tate made his grand entrance at the funeral. Hell, I thought they was going to bring John Mock, but there was one
Hell, I thought they were going to.
noticeable person that didn't show up, and I think Larry's in love with her, and that is my girl Ramona Patonia. She did
Where
not show up
was
at the
she?
funeral.
Where
Yeah,
was she? Why was Ramona not there?
now that is just you got to have Ramona there because she was starting to enter a love interest with Ghost. I don't
Yeah,
understand why Ramona wasn't there, other than Power just don't want to have her involved in the story at all. So Larry, I don't think you're gonna get no more Ramona love, my brother.
I don't
But
think so either. It's not
but
like they haven't delivered enough new eye candy in this show, but it would have been nice to actually have seen her. I was surprised that the woman that was running for governor too wasn't there. They didn't show her. I don't remember seeing her. They didn't show Ramona. I even thought maybe what's her name would have showed up, Angela's sister. I know she hates him, but I thought she might have shown up at the last minute to either to spit on his grave or at least pay her last respects or something. So
Yeah, they didn't show Paz either, and I would think Paz would have just came just to verify that he's dead. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Just to come and say, okay, this MF is in the ground. He's not coming back. Goodbye. But she didn't show up either. So,
yeah.
and of course, Tommy wasn't there. If we would have had them, it would have been a full-fledged book one reunion, but none of that stuff happened.
I'm not sure Tommy wasn't there. I bet you if they would have pulled those cameras back and let us see the wider scene, I bet you we would have seen Tommy sitting over there behind one of those trees, lighting up a spliff like he used to do with Tasha in his cars. I bet you he was back behind one of those trees smoking or something, watching the funeral.
Now, when they was debating who was going to give the eulogy, um, was there ever really any debate that Tariq was going to give the eulogy? I mean, they siphoned through as though Tasha was going to do it, and I'm still trying to figure out how they let Tasha get special clearance to come and say she's going to do a eulogy. I don't get how they done that. And then Tate decided, okay, I'll do it. And then finally, Tariq stepped in. And I honestly could believe in the speech, Larry, believe it or not. I bought into the speech. I did buy into the speech.
Right.
He didn't throw Ghost under the bus. He didn't per se uplift him. But if you didn't throw him under the bus in that particular situation, you uplifted him. I mean, right. what Tariq said was the honest truth.
Right. It was very political. It was very political. What he said, in the sense that not political like we think of politics, but or I shouldn't say political. It was very diplomatic what he said, because he basically said what we were all thinking. His dad could be a crook, but he didn't know. He didn't know him. He said he's learning more about him now as after he's dead. And what he really did was simply told the truth, but he told the truth in such a way that no one was hurt.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Now here's Trisha C, one of our favorites to this show, just mentioned something that I totally missed, and this is one of my favorite characters. Kate Egan didn't show up at Ghost's funeral. Now, can you imagine spaced out Kate Egan showing up to her black son Ghost's funeral? Man, that would have been a mess.
I wonder why she wasn't there. That's kind of crazy that she wasn't there.
Yeah, I don't know what they're thinking about with that, but I would have loved to seen it. And I hope they haven't written her out. Maybe she's going to be in Tommy's story, but I love that character. Kate Egan, I just love that character. The chick can act.
Yeah.
She embodied a mom who knows her son is doing drugs, who knows her son is her dad, the father's a dirtbag, and spaced out on drugs. I love that character. I hope they do bring her back. But I think that they didn't want to go too deep with the funeral because they're working on so many other story plots. So here's one that we didn't see. We didn't see coming. Monet, they call her Mo, Mary J. Blige's character, is sleeping with Rico Suave from the police department and using the powers of her panty drawers to manipulate him into helping her organization. Larry, how many episodes you think he's going to survive? Because his ass is as good as dead.
Yeah, he might. I think he'll probably get taken out, but I think he's going to go a few episodes. I'm going to say, I'm not sure how many are in this season, but I think he'll probably go close to the end of the season. I think eventually Kane will probably take him out, but he's not going to just straight take him out right away, because he is dealing with Monet, and he knows that if he just goes out on a limb and just takes him out without telling Monet first, he might be the one next. So, I think he'll probably go, if there's 10 episodes, he'll get taken out in probably 8.
Okay.
And so he could get taken out, or he could just get set up somehow, because you don't really want to put a hole in a cop. I think they might be better served setting him up somehow to take a fall, so that they don't have to kill him and still get him out of the way.
Now, how do you think Kane is going to react to his mother? Because she's been trying to keep this a secret from him, and he clearly saw it yesterday. How do you
Right.
think he's going to react when they have a big powwow about what you're doing sleeping with a cop?
I mean, I'm sure she's gonna try and play it to I'm getting information from him and I'm protecting his family. That's what people always do in those situations, right? I'm doing this for us. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for us. I'm protecting the family. I have to make sure that we have a buffer between us and the police. I need to make sure we have access to information. I need to do all this so that you three are protected as well. So I think I think it's one of those things. She's just gonna play it off. She's just gonna play it off as
Boy,
as they're just getting protection. That's all it is.
y'all never cease to amaze me in the comment section. My folks, Sean Odom says, them panty draws must not been too good. They must been dry as the damn Sahara Desert because he was a day late and $1 short with them snitch papers.
Oh man.
Here's the deal on Rico Suave. Rico Suave is in love, and Monet is just using him. As simple as that. He is in love. He wants to be with this woman. And
Yeah.
I don't understand how he thinks he's going to turn her from, you don't go from a drug boss who's bringing in millions of dollars to a police officer who's making 40,000. Like
Right.
it don't work like that, brother. And the quicker you see, the quicker you will be. But I think that in all honesty, he really wants to try to put a ring on it. And he don't understand why she's still even dealing with the baby daddy, the husband rather, who's in jail.
Right. I mean, to be honest with you, the dude might stick around for the long haul because the two of them together really it's an interesting dynamic that they can play off with her having this criminal organization and him being a cop and her family not liking it. All of that just really makes for a very interesting situation because he's not just some other person. He's not as easy to take off the board.
He's gonna die, Larry. He's gonna die because did you see she's got her another jump off? She was sleeping with another dude in that episode. Did you see that?
I thought the other dude was her husband. I thought that was like doing a conjugal. It looked like they were at the jail in like a conjugal.
Okay. I mean, I think that's next episode. I think.
You're talking about the preview, right?
Yeah, the preview. But she had another cat she was messing around with. And
I didn't see the other dude.
And she like a doorknob. Everybody get a turn on that sweet Monet.
Obviously she figures that it's okay because you saw the way that she spoke to her daughter when she said, "Hey, you saw." I think she was actually talking about. I couldn't tell if she was talking about Frank or talking about Reek, but she said, "Hey, you saw the way he was looking at you, right? You need to use that."
She was talking about Frank.
Yeah,
well,
that's what I thought. That's what I thought too. But then it was like she told her dudes to take Frank out. So I was like, anyway, she did. She told him, said, "You see the way he's looking at you. You need to use that to get whatever you need to get information or get close or whatever." And I'm thinking to myself, well, damn, you're just gonna basically pimp your daughter out like that? Because basically what you're telling her is go in there, and if you need to give up that ass to get some info, then do it. And I'm thinking there has to be a better way. I mean, you might have to do that. You with the time frame you were coming up, but there should be a better way at this point.
Hey, man, all women know that the man's greatest weakness is super wet panty draws. That's a man's greatest weakness. We've seen civilizations fall. Mark Antony and Julius Caesar down there chasing that African queen, and the Roman Empire fell. Chasing them panty draws.
Them draws are something else.
They something else, bro. Speaking of draws, and we'll come back to some other stuff. Let's go ahead and talk about Carrie Megram's draws.
She's a baddie, boy. I knew when dude came up behind her and put his hands on her hip, I was thinking to myself, she's a sex addict. She's not going to say no to him. Even if she doesn't want to be with him, she's probably just about to get her fix. So,
Now, we have got to talk about this, Larry. So, do you think that he left her because of her sex addiction? But even more, do you think that her sex addiction is with college boys? That's what I'm thinking.
I mean, it could be. I think. I mean, I don't know. People who are sex addicts generally don't discriminate between, you know, men and boys, and I mean, they may not necessarily go with children, but from my understanding with sex addicts, they sort of just get with everybody, you know, for
But
the most part.
they have
So
a predilection. I mean,
right,
you don't go from sleeping with women that's 6'9" to sleeping with little people. If your predilection is
generally not.
6'9".
Right, generally not. I mean, I don't know. I don't think he left her. I think the way from it sounded from that argument, it sounded like he wrote that book about her and she left him. In
Yeah.
fact, I think he even said at one point, "When you left me, how did you think it made me feel? I was left alone in pain or something to that effect."
Mm-hmm.
So, I
And
mean,
he wrote that book.
it sounded to me like he wrote the book and then she left him as a consequence of it.
Mm.
And I would
And that,
imagine that if someone wrote a book about you, if your wife wrote a book about you, you would feel probably very betrayed, especially if you had no idea this book was being written or going to come out, and all of a sudden you're blindsided by the book. I'm sure you would feel betrayed because here's someone that you've been sharing your life with, and then all of a sudden you find out that what they've been doing is taking notes.
well,
So
I would feel betrayed, but I would not try to get her a job at my institution. You know, I'd be
yeah,
trying to separate from her.
no, I
So
totally agree, and I don't fully understand why she did that, but
because she wasn't done with them, and
it
you
is what it is. I mean, it's weird. It's
and,
weird.
and you saw that after she had the conversation with him about having the vigil for Tariq, she went and talked to her sponsor, who I guess the sponsor for her sex addiction, and the sponsor jumped down her throat too. Like, what the hell are you doing? You are not over him. Why in the world you get him a job there? Now he's in your department.
Right.
Who does
And
that,
it was
Larry?
really interesting too, the way that the dude spoke to her about being all up in Tariq's business. He was basically saying, look, you don't know what he needs, you don't know what he wants, and you're doing this not really for him, you're doing it for you.
Mm-hmm.
And you
Mm-hmm.
need to knock it off. You know,
Yeah.
and it was interesting because I love the way they're throwing things in there that we feel as black men every day. Because when he was saying something about, when she was saying, well, Tariq, I'm worried about him, he hasn't processed his feelings, and the dude was like, he's a black man in America, he doesn't have time to process his feelings. And I was thinking to myself, brother, for real, man, speak that truth. I mean, you just don't have time. It's like, I'm like, man, you get a dude that gets shot and killed in Chicago, and while you're trying to process your feelings about it, they beat up a dude in Georgia. And man, by the time you try and work about your feelings in Georgia, they kill somebody in
Minnesota.
California. You
Minnesota.
know,
Yeah, I know,
it's
man.
just I mean, it's crazy. It's just
But you know
so. I
what,
mean,
Larry? You know what's gonna happen, Larry? Old Professor Megram gonna help him process more than his
oh
feelings.
yeah, she's about to process all kinds of feelings.
I show her Reek been getting some practice in because she looked like she can wear a somebody out. But here's the thing: is anybody ready to see Tariq in a love scene? I know I ain't.
No.
I mean,
But I feel like it's gonna happen. I feel like, you know, we've seen how the producers of Power are. They like to show their sex scenes. So we
but
might have to be endured. We might have to see it. And I'll tell you, and this is how I would feel about this if I have to see Tariq in a sex scene. I just like, for any of you who watched Game of Thrones.
oh boy,
I watched Game of Thrones. I love Game of Thrones. But when they had Arya Stark in a sex scene, I was not ready for it.
me
I was
neither.
like, I get
Me
it.
neither.
She's a grown woman. She's about to go into the most fierce battle of her life, and she was trying to get it in because she didn't know she was coming out. But I was not ready to see that.
No, man, I was.
The last how many ever years grow up, I was not ready to see her in that scene.
I said the same thing, and women was jumping down my throat, which I thought it would be the opposite. But I was like, I couldn't see my little sweetie pie Aria having sex. It bothered me, man.
I did not need to see that. I get it. I totally understand why they did it for the story. Story-wise, it was wholly appropriate, but I still wasn't ready to see it.
Yeah. Now,
And that's the same thing with Reek. I mean, we've seen Reek since before he did. I mean, he barely has a little mustache now. You know, we've seen him for what, the last 8 years or something.
yeah, man. And the thing is, he's going to be in a love triangle with the professor, with Lauren, and with Diana Tejada.
Well, he's going to be in a quadrangle. He's going to have, don't forget about Effie.
Oh, yeah, Effie. I forgot about her, man. This is going to be a damn shootout for Tariq. My goodness. Hey, we'll see where that goes. But now let's talk about another important piece. Now, this is a big shout out to my homie Muchella, who is trying to put the fellas on to somebody special in power. They introduced the character last night that needed a morning after pill to show that she has got power in the prison. And Tasha was listening in because Tasha still is cunning, had brains behind Tommy and Ghost's empire. And she said, I need to be friends with this woman. So she goes and runs up on Reek and says, get her a morning after pill, which I don't know how the guards did not hear that shit. I do not know how the guards didn't hear her tell Reek to get the morning after pill, but hey, we'll run with the imagination.
Well, she whispered it in his ear when she ran up on him, and then she whispered it in his ear. So
I felt like she screamed it, but hey, she stay on. And now she's got this woman a morning after pill, and the word on the street is she's going to be the female version of Tommy in prison, helping out Tasha. How do you feel about this mysterious woman that we may get to do an interview on this very channel?
Man, I don't know, but I'm looking forward to see what goes down with it, because you know, if Tasha and her start running some sort of operation inside, that's going to be something else. Especially, this could be a real incestuous type of situation if you have like Tariq's mom in there dealing with Monet's husband, who can obviously move stuff around to get stuff done in there, and then this other woman. If they have all these people on the outside working on the inside, and they're all sort of related in some respect, man, this could be some serious mess. Tasha might not even want to come out. She might be like, I have a little drug empire jumping off in here. I'm going to stay in here for a minute, make sure it's all set up before I get out.
Well, that brings another question. While Tasha is building an empire, are you starting to get the feel they're going to drag it out with her being in prison the whole season?
I am starting to get that feel. Once they stepped up, once Sachs came in there and they said, no, we're filing federal charges against her. And then when they're in the judge's chamber and the judge said, well, it looks like we might have enough. There might be enough meat on the bones, I think is what she said. At that point, I was thinking she's likely going to be in there for the whole season, or maybe all the way to the very end. I don't see them letting her out just yet. And they seem to be establishing relationships for her in prison. So it's likely she's going to be in there the whole season. And I think part of it is that because this is supposed to be, you know, since it's supposed to be, the show is called Ghost, and Tariq is supposed to become the new Ghost, you kind of need to get mommy out of the way. You can't have her on the outside telling him what to do and pulling the strings and helping him make the moves. You kind of need her on the inside, so he has to make his moves on his own, and so he can become his own man and in a sense become Ghost. And so I think Tasha, story-wise, I would love to see her out, but I think story-wise it makes sense and probably helps the story that she stays in.
Okay.
So
yeah, well, I can see that.
Out, what are we gonna see? I mean, really, honestly, what are we gonna do if we see her if she's out? I mean, what are we gonna do? I mean, she's gonna, you know, what's she gonna do?
You want me to write the story? I mean, she can get out and help Tariq build his crime empire. And they can keep Method Man as the lawyer. He can be the crooked lawyer working for Tariq. As long as Tariq can keep bringing him that bag of money, he'll stick right there. But he's not crooked,
though. That's the thing, though. He's not crooked. That dude's straight up legit. He just is a really good defense lawyer.
I ain't going to go all that way. Well, I guess it depends on the semantics of how you view a lawyer. Because they highlighted in the show last night that there have been known people that he's gotten off that he knows committed the crime. So then it comes to a moralistic thing. But I guess if you're a defense attorney, it don't matter if the person you're defending did it or not. It's your job to get them off.
It's
And
right, and that's the thing. It doesn't, like, some defense attorneys want to know if their clients are guilty right up front because it helps them prepare their defense.
I think he's like that.
But you're right. It does not matter if that person is guilty or not guilty, or if you know they're guilty or not guilty, or believe they are or not. You have to give them the most vigorous defense that is possible. You're obligated to do so under the Constitution, because that is what defense. And I know this personally because my mother is a defense attorney.
Oh,
So,
popping collar, showing that his suburban card and shit. Let me find out.
Former prosecutor, but a defense attorney. She left the DA's office, said it was too corrupt.
Well, let me shout out some people that are joining us. We've got a lot of people in here I ain't never seen before. Miss Crafty Capricorn. What makes you so crafty, my lady? We've got Joey Martinez. What's up, my brother? Nita the Diva. We got Cash Money. Y'all already know about Muchella. And a whole lot of other people in here showing us some love. If you're finding us for the first time, please subscribe to my channel. Larry has a channel. We put out content on a weekly basis. And that phone number you see right beside me that says Super Chat, that's the number you guys can call on Wednesday night to let everybody hear your theory. And me and Larry will go back and forth with it. And Larry is going to ask y'all a weird question before I let y'all get off the phone. People love that about you, Larry. They loved your weird questions last year. I think you asked a dude who would he rather have sex with on Christmas night, Ramona or Tasha? And then you had some joke about it. Probably better to have Tasha because she had more fake hair or something you had said. I was like, well, damn, what the hell? What the difference do the fake hair make, man? I was like, gift wrap for sure.
I don't even know, man. Just coming off the cuff with stuff.
Yeah, man. You sure do be coming off the cuff with stuff. All right, man. Let us get in one more point about power, then we'll move on to Lovecraft Country. Cooper Saxe.
Wait. Can I say one more thing before we go to Saxe?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I just want to point out how down for his roommate, his former roommate from Choke, that's his friend. I just want to say how down this little white dude is, because when they went to that vigil and everybody else was snapping flicks and stuff, this dude was no joke, was snatching phones. This dude was snatching people's phones and saying, delete that. He was knocking people's phones out their hands, all kinds. This dude was down for his. And then when he went up there, even though his brother gave him all that grief and was telling him he shouldn't even be in there, when his brother was about to get locked up, he was down for his brother. He stepped right up in the cop's face and was like, look, I'm sorry. I apologize. My brother's an idiot, blah, blah, blah. Dude was down for his.
Hey, like I said, they're basically trying to reinvent Tommy and Ghost. That's what they're trying to reinvent with Tariq, only with more of a college feel. And I mean,
well, I can see that, because if you have a Tommy and Ghost, but you have it on a higher level, like I can see where Tariq is thinking, we can do this big time. We can do this. Maybe they start off with their drug money and then they move on to something real, some real venture. Maybe they go start a hedge fund or something and steal everybody's money.
Oh, damn. So now you're saying they're gonna gyp Stearns, because Stearns ain't going nowhere. He's got to hold on to Reek so that he can get his money out the trust fund.
I don't know, man. Reek, he might be messing around with the wrong person. Reek might turn out to be smarter than him.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. I can see that. I can definitely see that. So last point we're going to cover on power, Cooper Saxe versus Davis McClain, and Cooper Saxe reintroducing Sergeant Rodriguez. Larry, is that going to be the straw to break Cooper Saxe's back? Because you know she hates Cooper Saxe.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting play right there, because she came out, like, as much as she does not like Tasha and Ghost and them, she came out saying, Tasha is no queen pin, and they need to get this right. So I'm really curious to see how that plays out, because I would not be at all surprised if she becomes a big part of the downfall of Cooper Saxe. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Sachs is not going down this season. Sachs is
No.
going to be around because he's going to be an integral part of this whole series. From
Mm-hmm.
like, if he goes down, he's going down in like 5 years after we're on like season, when we're on like episode 9, season 5 is when we might, so when we might see Cooper Sachs going down. Other than that, he's going to be around through this entire series. But I would not be at all surprised if she does or says something that makes this case fall apart. Because at some point, Tasha needs to come up out of jail. So, that their case at some point is going to fall apart.
My homegirl, Miss Crafty Capricorn, says Braden is iffy. He's too thirsty to sell drugs, which that kind of reminds me of Tommy. Tommy was always ready. If you said jump into the pool, Tommy was going to jump in there butterball naked. That's kind of what that spirit is what reminds me of Tommy. So that's why I made the comment about Braden. And ladies and gentlemen, good talk.
We can see this about Braden. Braden may be ready to prove himself, and he might be down like, yeah, I'm going to prove myself and yada, yada, yada. But he's also, I think, a little bit smarter. We saw yesterday how he can be down for his. He's smacking phones out of people's hands, saying, basically saying he's really ready to go to war with on behalf of Reek if he needs to. But we also saw that scene at the frat house. He's way smarter than some other people. He's diplomatic. He understands the power and the privilege that he has, and he knows how to use it. He knows how to use it. He knows when to use it. So,
and that's going to make it interesting. It's going to make it very interesting.
I'm looking forward to seeing those two work together. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. One thing I was really wondering about is, with Monet, I'm wondering if she's afraid of Tariq. Because in that one clip where she said, and we haven't seen it in the show yet, but in the clip in the previews where she was saying everybody who gets close to him either ends up dead or in jail. I'm wondering if she's afraid. Like she's not saying that, and she's not asking around about him because she's comfortable about him. She's afraid of him. And
right.
And I want to see how that plays into the way that she responds to him, because she knows now that he's smart. Like, she might have just been thinking, oh, he's trying to get close, or he's trying to pull off some hustle. But now that she realizes dude is smart, and she's worried because everybody around him just ends up dead and he's still standing, or ends up in jail and he's still standing. I think now she's probably thinking like, maybe this dude's a little bit smarter than I thought, and I need to be worried about him. And I think that's kind of where she's at. So, I feel like she's going to try and send her girl over there. And I'm thinking to myself, you probably should keep your girl as far away from Reek as possible, because like you just said, everybody ends up either dead or in jail, and your girl might be a casualty of war, Okay.
Zenora, like that name, says, don't forget the way Tariq looked at Stearns when he had that meeting with the dean. First episode. So Tariq already is on to something with Stearns. Yeah, we know that is definitely going to be a symbiotic relationship. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. And maybe it wouldn't surprise me, really, to be honest with you, if 50 Cent and Courtney Kemp wanted to take Tariq corporate into stock espionage, kind of like the Wolf of Wall Street, and still be selling drugs. You could go that route using Stearns if they wanted to put that into the story too. You could definitely do. Yeah. You could take the billions storyline to some degree and weave in Tariq being a savvy, smart drug dealer, but college educated man. You could do so many things with it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So, ladies and gentlemen, that will conclude the Power Review. I will make this a single video for those of you that want to go back and listen to it without having listened to the whole thing. And now it is Lovecraft Country time. Me and Larry love this show. Every show feels like a finale. We're talking about episode 5. Larry, give me your rundown. Lovecraft Country, episode 5. And are you going to explicitly talk about your love for Juicy Smollett, sister?
Man, Journey is getting it in this season, man. I'll tell you, this episode had me with all kinds of just mixed feelings. I don't know. I don't know how I felt coming out of this show, boy. Because man, it was. I mean, first you had that scene where where Atticus rolls up in there and just beats the holy hell up out of his pops. I mean, was putting it in on him.
But you seen that coming.
I did, but you could see that Letty was afraid of him too, because when Letty walked downstairs, when he went to her dark room looking through her photos, if you saw, she had a baseball bat in her hand.
Yeah.
She was like, she went down there thinking, I might have to swing on this fool.
Yeah.
She didn't go down there thinking, oh, this is a dude that I'm into and he's into me. She went down there thinking like, I might have to go defend myself. So I had all kinds of feelings about this episode. I feel like I need to watch it again. I felt all kinds of ways about seeing the whole thing we finally had it confirmed. We've been talking about it for a while about whether or not, the white blonde chick was the same as the dude. And we had that confirmed that they're the same person.
I told you. We said that on the second episode review that they was one and the same. We said it. We said it right here.
You said it. We said it. We talked about it. We said it could be the same person. You were the first one that said it. So, you were right. And we had that confirmation. I think that I felt some sort of way. I wasn't sure, I understand where you give him this, you give her that serum, and then she can, that potion, whatever it is, and she can turn into a white lady. There's so many different feelings about that as a black person. Like I get it on some level. It's like, if you could do it, okay, you do it because I have to admit, if I could change into something else, it would be entertaining just to see how your life would be different and how things would be different in that moment. Like if I could change myself into a white man or a woman or a dog or a dragon, sure, I'd do it if I can switch back. So I don't necessarily want to stay that way, but it would.
So you want to be a shapeshifter? If you had mutant powers, you would use them to be shapeshifting.
Yeah, that would be. It would give you more perspective on how other people are. If you're a man and you never understood what it feels like for a woman to work in a place around a bunch of men, or what it may feel like as a woman to have to walk down the street by yourself at night, you will get a different perspective. If you're black and you've never known what it feels like to be in a white world, or if you're white and you've never known what it's like to be in a black world, it will give you some perspective. And so it could be interesting to have that power. I feel like with what's her name? With Letty's sister, I'm blanking on her name. Whatever, Letty's sister, whatever her name is. I just felt like she started to get a little snippety with it when she was talking to the black woman, and she was angry because she didn't have but a 7th grade education, and she wasn't particularly good at anything. She just got the job because she was skinny and she was pretty, and maybe it looked like that manager at some point wanted to try and get at her, because we saw him she was hemmed up in the alley behind that club, and dude was all up in her trying to get at her. So, I think he was just thinking, oh, I'll hire her and eventually I'll be able to get at her. But I felt like even the way she treated her when she had that little bit of power over her was just a little bit wrong. I think she did right by her eventually, but I felt like in her moment of anger, she was just wrong.
Considering how, and I'm going to have to go back and watch, legitimately, everybody, you probably could watch these episodes 2 or 3 times to find little things that you might have missed, little Easter eggs that you might have missed.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
Yes, each one of them feels like it could be a finale. And Larry, I want to ask you, considering this episode was all over the place, they was somewhere everywhere. What do you think was supposed to be the essence of this particular episode?
Oh, it was definitely, the sort of transformation or metamorphosis, the whole thing of coming out and becoming who you truly are. Mm-hmm. And I think it was, like we saw this, we saw the scenes playing back and forth with the whole metamorphosis between, I just can't remember her name, Letty's sister. We saw her, when they had her turn it, which they had her, she was a white woman, and then she shed all that, and she became a black woman again, and it seemed like she was, she had a better sense of understanding of herself and the world, and was more confident, and then at the same time, we saw on the other side, we saw Atticus's dad with the drag queens, and he finally seemed like he was coming to terms with what he is and who he is, and ends in that sort of crescendo where he's kissing, that the boy, I don't know if you want to call him his boyfriend, but the guy that I guess he had been interested in and had been sneaking around with, he finally kisses him, because at that one point when they were all backstage, and they made some comment, and one of the drag queens said, oh, they hadn't even kissed yet or something. They hadn't even locked lips yet or something like that. And so I think it was just sort of that metamorphosis moment for both of them, where you clearly had, Letty's sister shedding off all of that crap and being the woman that she is, and him on the other end shedding off all of the stuff about trying to hide who he is and just openly kissing his lover or his boyfriend or whatever. And so it was an interesting episode. It wasn't the most. I didn't think that play right between those two things was the most creative. It was very obvious what was going to happen. I mean, I saw that a mile away, so it wasn't like it was the most creative, but it was still creative in the way they did it.
Mm-hmm. And Larry, the sister's name is Ruby.
Ruby, right? So yeah. Ruby, when Ruby was, one thing I want to know is Ruby gay now?
I don't know. I mean, would you assume she is?
I mean, she thought she was sleeping with a dude, and she had a dude's body, but oh, damn, spilled my drink.
I guess that's your answer.
I guess so.
Damn. Well, my man Chris P wants to know, and I don't know if you know, I couldn't tell either. After the scene where Atticus beat up the daddy, who was in the picture that, okay.
Be right back.
Yeah. I want to know that too. So anybody know who Atticus was complaining, who was in that picture Atticus was fussing out Letty about, please post your comments. But for me, the writing in this thing has been great. It's been great writing. And I feel like every episode could play on each other, but they seem like they're all still leading you to a different place. Like, I'm anxious to see, how are they going to end this whole entire thing? How are they going to end it? Larry, how do you
think? I'm curious about that too. I have no idea, because every time I think that they're getting to a certain point, they throw you through a new loop. So I don't know. I ultimately, I think where they're going to probably end up, I think it's going to end up with a battle between Atticus and what's her name? Christine
Braithwaite.
Yeah, Christine Braithwaite or something. So I think it's going to end up with a battle between them, because I think Atticus is going to decipher or decode the Book of Adam, and he's going to end up with spells of his own that he's able to use, and he's going to get a lot of power. And I think there may be some conflict between him and Letty when he gets that powerful. And I don't know, maybe Letty will have some of that power too, because if if the book is decoded and she's able to use the magic too, then all of a sudden now you're looking at two really powerful people, and if they go up against her, I don't know. I think that's where it's probably going to end up, is where those two are going to end up going up against what's her name?
Christine Braithwaite.
Yeah, because that's ultimately what she wants. She wants that book decoded. She wants the Book of Adam decoded, the language of Adam decoded, and she can't do it on her own.
Right. So Blowfly 3000, and I hope you're talking about blowing the fly and not the unzipper fly, has said he was looking for pictures of the pages that Montrose disposed of. Okay.
Right.
Okay, easy enough to follow. I don't know how we overlook that. But again, I'm going to have to
And
watch
Letty
this
took
thing
pictures of him.
again.
She did. And she did.
Right,
She said that she took pictures of him. So we know that. Well, we saw later that he looked like he was decoding them. So
right, right. Man, what if they made them team up, Larry? Or what if some weird mythical element happened to come up and Atticus and Christine had to team up for something? Could you see that in the writing by the end of this season?
no, I could see it because it might be almost that they're setting that up because we see that I don't know if he was a police officer or the sheriff, that dude that where Ruby was hiding in his closet with that dude that was all cut up. You know, we saw that it looked, I guess he was the head of one of those lodges, and I guess he's trying to do some of his stuff. So we know something's gonna be up, and so maybe he's gonna be in for a power grab.
Mhm.
And because Christy doesn't have an actual lodge, I mean, she's out there doing her stuff on her own. She just happens to be smarter than everybody else that's doing all the white people. She's smarter than all the white folks, and so it just could be that they do have to team up so that they can defeat him. And there's something that's weird with him. It looks like his body. Like, did you see when he took his shirt off? It almost looked like he had a separate body from his head.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, like that dude that was in the closet. It was like you could see where he was all cut up. It's like looked like his face was cut, his neck was cut. It almost looked like they were like using his skin as like a skin suit or something. For the other dude, it was weird. I don't know what was up with that, but it was like it almost looked like he had a separate, like his body was different from his head. So,
hey, in order to watch this show, you got to give it full attention. You got to come with an open mind, and you've got to pay attention to detail. This is not the kind of show where you can think you can just skip out, go get some popcorn, be gone 30, 40 seconds, and be able to keep up with everything. You can't do that with this show, ladies and gentlemen. You got to sit there in attention. But it's been good. I'm hearing the rumors that they are going to have another season, even though it feels as though you can contain this particular season in itself. I'm hearing that there's going to be another season. The rumblings are already out there. Would you be cool for that?
The interesting thing is that depending on where their mindset is with this, they could do this story the same way they did, like sort of like how they did what's that show? Penny
Dreadful.
Penny Dreadful, where you can have them just pay basically like when they did that Penny Dreadful, the one where they moved to LA, you can have one character that sort of becomes like the linchpin between the two stories, but you just move to an entirely different area and have an entirely different cast with a whole new set of stories, and it would work.
Check this out. My man Blowfly 3000 is coming in here hitting home runs. He said in the book, Christina will try to merge all the lodges together under one banner, which is basically what Larry is saying. You could have a season with a banner that's in like the Northern Elks or whatever, and she can be the leader. I mean, I could see this thing going 5 different ways from Sunday.
Who knows? Maybe what we'll see is Ramona will show up inside of Lovecraft Country as a political operative.
Ladies and gentlemen,
maybe we'll see Letty and Ramona fighting over Atticus.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to conclude the review of Lovecraft Country. I will make both of these separate videos so that you don't got to watch them both together. And I want to give a big shout out to everyone that tuned in to us. Larry, we almost hit the numbers we hit last year. We had, at one point in time, we had 132 people watching us. And when we jumped off power, it dropped down to 81, which means there's still a lot of interest in Lovecraft Country, which we're happy about that. So before we get out of here, Larry, when are they going to drop the next Boys episode? Because that has been fire too.
Yeah, Boys comes on Friday nights, but on Fridays. Usually it drops at midnight Eastern time. So if you're up late on a Thursday, you can usually watch that. And I think I don't know. I might have to try and convince Lamont to do this, but I think we might start talking about Raised by Wolves, which is on HBO Max.
Hey,
So
I got HBO. We can do it. Did you got into it this weekend?
I haven't watched it yet. I was actually going to watch some of it tonight and
Okay.
check it out.
Okay.
Now, another show that we don't watch together on the show, but if people haven't seen it, check it out. I talked about it on Saturday. It's a show called Woke. It's on Hulu. It's one of those things, one of those series where they released the whole season. It's only 8 episodes. It is a hilarious, fantastic show. It's about a black cartoonist in San Francisco who gets woke. He's basically one of those dudes that's sort of like goes by, everything's fine, doesn't really think about anything bad. He knows the bad stuff out there racially happens to him, other people, but he doesn't really ever think it's going to happen to him. And then one day while he's out putting up flyers for for an art event, he gets tackled by the police and gets held at gunpoint. And all of a sudden he's woke. And it's just it's like a comical thing that happens after that where, trash cans and 40 bottles and pins, everything starts talking to him. And he can no longer avoid seeing all the racism and bigotry that's out there. So, yeah. Anyways, it's a comedy. It's fun. They're only like 20-minute episodes, so it does. I mean, you can binge the whole thing in a couple hours. So check it out. It's called Woke.
And a show we're going to preview that starts I think it's going to be on HBO, and it premieres October the 4th. Charm City Kings, done by Meek Mills. Executive produced by Jada and Will Smith. Looks promising. I will have the trailer. I will have all the info on it to see if this can be another show. Me and Larry will do a review for you guys. And we love doing those episode trailers. You all seem to really like those videos, but check the trailers out we do for some of the other videos too.
Will they have an episode called Entanglements?
I'm not sure about that, man. I'm not sure about that because we know you want to be entangled with Ramona, and now Professor Carey. You love to be involved in that entanglement.
That's on you. I acknowledge she's beautiful, but that's on you. You love that professor. You're all about her.
What can I say, man? Brown skin, dark skinned women are the spice of life. What can I say?
She is a baddie. I'll say that much for sure.
So having said that, ladies and gentlemen, we are out. The phone number is right there. Write it down if you want to call in on Wednesday when we'll be taking your calls on anything you want to discuss on Power. We will be reviewing the new show called Charm City Kings coming out October the 4th. And we'll talk a little politics, and we will definitely talk a little stocks because Larry is about to be winning this week. I'm winning too, but not the way I wanted to win, but it's all good. And
win is a win, right?
Yeah, win is a win. Having said that, ladies and gentlemen, stay safe, wear your mask, and until that next sexy as hell video, we'll see you.
Peace.